Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? I hope you are having a great Thursday and you are ready for the weekend, which is right around the corner. Thank goodness. I'm super excited for this weekend because I will be participating in the Reader's Retreat in San Francisco, and I will finally get to meet the famous Simon Savage, who I have known now for some time online. We've talked via text message, but we will finally meet in person tomorrow. So I'm super excited about that, and that I get to hang out with a group of bookish people in San Francisco, which is a great bookish town. So what am I here to do before I go on my weekend journey? I'm here to wrap up the first part of my September reading. I'm doing pretty good. In September, I've read 7 books so far. I'm going to talk about 5 of them today, and then I'll talk about the rest of them at the end of the month. As you know, I am now splitting up my reading so that I can talk about the books a little bit more. So we might as well get started. I started my reading month with a novella from Tor, which I am just a huge fan, and that is Passing Strange by Elaine Clegg. Now, this is set in the 1940s in San Francisco, and it's got this world where there's a little bit of magic going on, and different types of magic. I don't want to give too much away in that because both the magic that is in this book is important to the plot and some of the stuff that happens. But what it really is about is a group of 6 friends, 6 women who are friends and are all lesbians, and they all at this time period have to hide or do things differently not to be found out. And this is really at its core a love story between 2 women. I'm sorry, I have my window open, so sorry if you heard that little weird noise that happened. It's a little warm today. And this story follows these 2 women. Things happen and decisions they have to make in order for them to be together. I really like this book. It's actually a really sweet story. It's well written. The characters are really engaging. I wanted a bit more magic, a little more fantasy. That is my only complaint. It does read a little bit just real to life at times, and I was just expecting. I think that was the thing. I think I wanted a little bit more of the magic instilled in what went on in the day-to-day. In no way does it deplete how enjoyable this book was. I think if you are looking for a nice lesbian love story and with a different take on it, with art and friendship and a little bit of magic thrown in, you will really enjoy Passing Strange by Elaine Clegg. I really, really did. And this cover is gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. Let's just say that. So good job, Tor. You've never let me down yet. The next book I read was from an independent publisher in the San Francisco area, and this was published by, I always get there's 2 publishers and I always get their names mixed up. This is Two Lines Press, and this is Lion Cross Point by Masatsugo Ono, and I'm sorry, I'm trying, and that is translated from the Japanese by Agnes Turnville. Now, I'm going to say that if you are a fan of books like Fever Dreams by Samantha Schweblin, that sort of disconnected fairy tale type-ish narrative, I think you will really like this book. So this is the story of a young boy. Let me remember his name real quick. His name is Takuru, and he comes to this little village to live with this family member because something has happened to both his mother and his younger brother. And actually, it's his older brother. People mistake the fact that he is the younger brother all the time because his brother has a condition, I'm not going to give it away, but that needs him to be taken care of. Intertwined in this is sort of like this ghost story about people who lived in the town in the past. There is this sort of idea of nature, and this book is really hard to describe without giving anything away. But really it is about a young boy coming to deal with loss, learn about family, and also learn about past. And it has sort of a mythical, sort of magical, realistic aspects to it. It is gorgeously written. It's got a gorgeous cover. I read it in about a day. I was totally entranced. The young boy becomes friends with a young girl next door. Their friendship is very interesting, and what her family life is like adds sort of a depth and structure. I really, if you like books about children, and they're not, this narrator is not young in sort of a cloying sort of way. He's young and an experienced sort of way, but has an adult sensibility. And you will go along on this journey with him. It is a really good book. And it's hard to describe because of all the uniqueness that is it. So this is Lion Cross Point by Masatsugo Ono. I wish I spoke every language in the world. Translated from the Japanese by Angus Turnville. Okay. Oh goodness, the next book I read, you guys, so good. So this is the advanced reading copy. I will be picking up my official copy this weekend in San Francisco. But this is Praise Song for the Butterflies by Bernice L. McFadden. This book is from Akashic Books, and I got this at Book Expo America, so thank you very, very much. This book packs a punch. If you are a fan of, say, Roxane Gay's The Untamed State, if you are a fan of books that have a sense of country, like anything by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, this book, and country, family and country, this book is for you. So this is the story of Abibi. I'm going to say Abibi. She is a young girl. She's about 9 years old when the story starts in Ghana. She is the daughter of a wealthy family, and she has a younger brother. And stuff in the family, actually, sort of the luck of her father starts to change. And his mother moves in and more or less convinces him to give away his daughter to this religious leader as a sacrifice to the gods in order to bring back the family luck. Let's just say that when she gets to this sort of, it's like a village in and of itself, there is so much that is done to her. So there are tons of trigger warnings in this. There's trigger warnings for abuse, there's trigger warnings for rape, there's trigger warnings for emotional abuse, there's trigger warnings for just women being treated poorly. But powerful, powerful statements. And what your story is about a young girl who grows up in a horrible situation, her family that doesn't give up on her. Well, some of them. I don't want to give too much away because there's a very, very, very powerful twist. But when she does, and the back tells you she successfully gets out after a long time in this, I'm going to call it a cult. That's what I'm going to call it. She has to reinvent her life. What do you do after that? After you haven't been part of your family, where do you go? How do you become the person you're going to be for the rest of your life? How are you scarred? The only thing I will say is that, and it sounds weird to say, but her time in the village itself is a lot of it is left to imagination, which I think makes it even more horrifying than the actual text. But I could have used a little bit more time there just to develop sort of the anger that I wanted. Like it was there, but I don't know. I just felt like the book could have been a little bit longer, which is weird to say, but it is really good. Abibi is an amazing character. Her self-reliance is fantastic. What happens to her is tragic, but you will be gripped. It's got sort of a thriller-esque read to it, but in no way loses its political poignancy. So I firmly recommend Praise Song for the Butterflies by Bernice L. McFadden. It is excellent. I have not read many books from Ghana, and I am going to be on the hunt. I think this is her 9th book? 10th, 11th, 10 critically. So our 11th book, I'm on the hunt because I think that she is an amazing writer. And I want to thank Akashic Books for giving me a copy of this at Book Expo America. Okay, so the next book that I read, you guys, I started this year and reading was like a little bit all over the place, but I have been reading so many books that have just been so good that it is amazing. And this one is no difference. And this is Severance by Ling Ma. This is out by FSG. And let me see. I think this came out this year. Yeah, this came out this year. I heard about this book when I went and saw Vanessa Wow talk about her new novel that came out. She mentioned it, and then the guy next to me mentioned that he had interviewed Ling Ma. And I didn't know anything about it. And it is a dystopian novel. I would say it's along the veins of a more grown-up version of Station 11. If you like Station 11 as a dystopian, I think you'll like Severance. The main character is Candice Chen. She immigrated with her family to America from China. And she's not close to her family, in that they have passed away, and she doesn't have sort of the connection to them. You know how I just said that in Sorry to Disrupt the Beast, the main character of that book has a very unique perspective on the world? Candice also has her own unique perspective. She lives in New York City. We find out early and before sort of everything happens. She lives a very regimented life, a very structured life. She doesn't have very many friends. She does have a boyfriend, but their relationship is very strange. And what happens is this airborne, it's not a virus, that's the wrong word, but this airborne contagion is out there, and it turns into something that is killing people, and a small group of people are surviving. Now, Candice is dedicated to the work she does. She works for a publishing agency, and she is in the Bible publishing department, where people order specialty Bibles through her. She gets them produced, and then they're sold. And she is a project manager there. It tells a lot about her that is her job. I'm just saying that. And what happens is, as the company downsizes due to this epidemic, she is sort of kept on. A contract is given that she'll be paid a ton of money if she stays and keeps the business running. And eventually she's the only one there. Something happens that requires for her to go out on the road. And so what happens is we have these sort of two worlds. We have present day, where she is a member of a group that is traveling across the country to some sort of building where they're going to set up a home. And then the other one is her in New York City up to that time, and then her by herself until she leaves and becomes part of this group. This book has a stark realness to it. The main character, Candice, sorry, Candice, my niece's name is Cadence. Candice, she is known for, well, she's not known. She is a secret blogger who takes these photographs of New York. And after everyone leaves, she's still taking these photos and uploading them. And she has sort of this ghost-like online personality and sort of a ghost-like in-person personality. There is drama, there's adventure, there's a plot, but it's also very introspective. It's also very thought-provoking. It never gets lost sort of in its own sense of it could turn into a Walking Dead type situation. It never does that. It keeps it very real. The only thing is you do have to suspend your disbelief a little bit in that the group is able to still at times access the internet, which you would think may not be possible. Also, they have access to things that you sort of start to think, I wonder whether or not those things would really be accessible, but it doesn't get in the way of the narrative or the discussion. The book is, again, it is fantastically written. And I think if you are in the mood for, I'm just going to call it a very adult dystopian novel, Severance by Ling Ma by FSG, definitely up your alley. I think it's fantastic. Last but not least that I read this grouping is one book that was longlisted for the National Book Award, and that is The Boatbuilder by Daniel Gumbiner. This is out by McSweeney. Now, this is the story of Berg. Berg is a gentleman who is suffering from an opiate addiction. You learn out through the book why and how he got there. At the start of the book, he's breaking into a house in order to find opiates. He then finds jobs locally. He's in this small town in Northern California taking care of someone's house. who is out of the country. He finds a job on a boat, and then that sort of leads into a job where he becomes an apprentice boatmaker underneath a man named Alejandro. And that book is about that relationship, about him fighting his demons, and also about the families that you build, and also how hard addiction is to actually leave. I will say the book is a little simple in narrative structure. There's not much that goes on that will surprise you. It's almost got a fable-esque aspect to it, sort of like it's trying to teach you a lesson and tell you a story. I really enjoyed it. I really bought into Berg's story. I find him very realistic, very relatable. I love that narrative trope of young man finds older man to teach him the lessons of the world kind of thing. There is also a sort of an adventure, law-breaking aspect that kind of keeps the narrative going, interestingly enough. So you don't get sort of only bogged down in the other part of this. But I highly recommend it. And I think if you're looking for a book like that, the Boatbuilder by Daniel Gumbiner is definitely going to be something that you'll think about for a while. And this edition is fantastically beautiful. So McSweeney really knocked it out of the park. So I highly recommend the Boatbuilder. So even though I wanted to shorten these videos and talk more, this is still a 16.5-minute video because these 5 books were worth every word that I spit out of my mouth. As always, if you are a return subscriber, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. If you're new to my channel, please pick up one of these 5 books. If you've read them, let's talk about them below. And as always, until next time, happy reading, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!